Ta-da! Woohoo! Yay, Monday! Woohoo! Hello, everybody, and welcome to the live video. The Monday mini medicine card readings. Oofda! It has been a weekend. How's everybody else doing? I am exhausted. I don't know if you can tell, I am tired, exhausted, worn out. It has been an intense few days. The weekend was not very restful, and but it's all good. It's been a lot of things going on with a lot of people. Had to do quite a bit of shamanic help and space holding and advocating and all kinds of stuff these last few days. Hello, I am Patrick. I am the owner of Perching Wolf Studios, the Facebook page you are currently watching, or the YouTube channel you are currently watching. And what we are doing is something I call Monday mini medicine card readings. So every week, every Monday night at 7:30, I pull out my favorite deck of cards, the medicine cards, and I do readings. What we do is I pull 3 cards. The reason I'm looking off camera is I'm lighting up some sage to smudge my cards. So I will pull 3 cards, and you get to decide which number. You get to choose a number between 1 and 3, and I am playing with the idea. If you were here last week, I mentioned I was thinking about doing something slightly different. Here's some smudge for you. Let go of all that heavy energy, all that buzz and hyper everything. Let it go. Just feel the smoke and the sage neutralizing all that frenetic energy, bringing you back into your body. There we go. All right. So thank you for joining me. I hope there's somebody there. I don't see anybody has shown up. But I've noticed that with Facebook, it's really hard to tell how many people are actually watching. So I'm going to go on smudging my cards and chatting as if there are tons of people listening and watching me. All right. So let's see. So, like I said, interesting times these past 3 or 4 days. I have become aware of so many different people in crisis and people needing help. And there's a lot that I heard today. Someone mentioned it as we're going through a big choice point. Like people are coming to a place of choosing whether they're going to stick with lower vibrational reality or if they're going to move forward into higher vibrational reality. Go with the higher one. We have cookies. And so, lots of people going through a lot of intense choices, anxieties, and all I have to say is it's going to be okay. No matter what you choose, no matter what happens, it's all going to be okay. It can't help but be okay because you can't help but be in the right place at the right time. And everything you need will come to you as you need it. It doesn't mean it's not going to be scary or anxiety filled, but repeat after me. Everything always works out for me. All is well in my world. So, let me see that. The sage smoke is still flowing through here. I went and did. I had to go to the river this afternoon to do ceremony. I lit some sage, and I actually, normally, when I light sage at the river to do ceremony, by the time I'm done, the sage has burned itself out, right? Not today. When I got done, it was still wafting. It was popping and crackling, and I had to actually go douse it in the river in order to put it out. And the thing is, what I was taught is that, you know, everything has a spirit. Everything is alive. Everything is conscious. And especially when you're using it in ceremony, like the sage, the spirit of the sage, its job is to cleanse energy. And so it will continue to burn and burn and burn and smoke and smolder as long as there's energy needing to be cleansed and cleared. So there's a lot of energy needing to be cleansed right now. So I welcome the spirit of the sage. I thank the spirit of the sage. And you know what I'm going to do? Tell you what I'm going to do. I actually have... Okay, how can I do... Pardon me while I unplug my phone. I'm actually going to light up some sweetgrass as well. Sage cleanses the energy. Sage clears the energy. Sage like binds the lower energy. And so it neutralizes everything. And then I like to burn some sweetgrass, because sweetgrass is said to be the love of Mother Earth. And so by burning the sweetgrass and sending that smoke up, that fills the space that the sage just cleared, right? You got clear space, and then we fill it with love, so that, you know, nature abhors a vacuum, right? And so if we clear the space, but we don't fill the space, nature's going to fill it up. And so we mindfully choose, consciously choose to fill that space with love. All right. That feels so much better. All right. And I'm still not even sure there's anybody on here. If there's someone on here, somebody please comment just to know that I'm not talking to myself. It says I'm live, but anyway. That's not going to stop me, because I never shy away from talking to myself. I talk to myself all the time. And actually that is a sign of, yay, there's a one, somebody's on. Woohoo! Thank you for joining me. So we are just getting started here. Hey Josh, thanks for joining us. I don't know if anyone else is on here, but I'm getting ready to pull the cards. Whew. I smudged them. And we're gonna pull some cards. I don't know if there are people out there or not. If there are, choose a card. 1, 2, or 3, or a couple numbers. And I was going to do something different tonight, but if there's not a lot of people on, I may wait till next week. Maybe we'll just do the same as we've been doing all along. So, okay. All right, we have 3 cards. Choose your number, 1, 2, or 3, or 1 and 2, or 2 and 3, or 1, 2, and 3. And I will go through them one at a time, and whichever card pertains to the number you chose, that is your guidance for the week. And that is why I do this on a Monday night, so that you have more guidance through the week. So, yeah, we're going to go ahead and just do the normal pull like I do every week. And next week, we will plan on doing something different. I want to wait till there's more people on. So number 1, if 1 was your card, we got alligator. See you later, alligator. Alligator is about integration. Oh, interesting. They just told me, it was like, usually what that means is integration of your life. Alligator floats just under the surface of the water with just her eyes above water, and her eyes are on the side of her head, and so she can see the entire panorama of everything around her. And so to her, she sees how everything is connected. Everything in front of her, everything behind her, to the side of her. And as we go through our daily lives, we have our social life out here, we have our work life back here, we have our home life over here, and so it's this scattered, shattered life that we don't know how everything's connected. We have to be a different person in our social life, we have to be a different person at work, at home, with Aunt Jemima, whoever. And so alligator comes along to help you realize that you are the common denominator. We spend so much time trying to figure out who we're supposed to be in different circumstances, in different groups of people. And so we get scattered, and so we're dispersing and diluting our power. And so alligator comes along to remind you that it's you that is the common denominator of all of those things. There might be not a lot of commonality between your home life and your work life and your social life, etc., except for you. You are the common thread. And by carrying your authenticity into all those arenas, you become the glue that holds all those various things together. Which is important because we each have our own unique vibration, our own unique frequency that we exude. Is that the word? EXUDE. We exude this frequency. And by being, our part of the World Wide Web, the web of life, is being the conjunction of these various situations, various people. If you think of it like a neural net, neural pathways, you're connecting things that might not otherwise be connected. That is your purpose, is to help maintain that connection. And so alligator comes along to remind you to just sit still, stillness, floating, not actively swimming. And even when alligator spies her prey, her dinner, she doesn't necessarily swim full charge. She'll like flick her tail a little bit to get the right velocity to come and arrive at the bank of the river right as the deer is coming down to drink. So when you realize the panorama, the bigger picture, all the pieces of the puzzle fitting together, then you become a master of connecting those things. And being like alligator is a master of timing, knowing how quickly to float toward the shore to get the deer or whatever. The little realization I had at the beginning of that when I started talking about alligator is I always talk about the integration like that, around us in our life. So it's kind of like this two-dimensional surface of our lives and how they're integrated, and it's about integrating new experiences as well. How you fit in, you have an expanding experience, lessons and learning things you learn, and how to integrate those into the overall pattern of your life. But alligator also, deeper than that surface, just the surface of your life, alligator integrates through time. Alligator is a survivor, right? She is so well adapted to her environment that she has been around in the same form for millions of years. And so she carries this unbroken chain of earth mother medicine wisdom all the way up to the present. So not only is she to help us integrate our own lives on this level, she's here to help integrate that deep wisdom, that deep earthy wisdom, to bring that up into our lives as well. And you might think that, she's this cold-blooded reptile. So you might think it's weird to connect Mother Earth to that, like the mothering, the mama. But alligator actually is one of the best mothers in the animal kingdom. She, not only does she protect her nest, just kind of patrolling, making sure no one's stealing the eggs, she actively turns the soil in the nest to help the eggs get enough warmth from the sun and coolness from the earth. So she actively takes part in the nurturing of her eggs, of her children. And then when the eggs hatch, she actually will take her babies in her mouth, take them down to the river and teach them how to swim. It's not like other reptiles that, they burst from their eggs and they're off and they got it all figured out already, whatever. She takes them down, teaches them how to swim. And the alligator children stick around for, I believe, like a year or two after they're born. They don't just disperse. They hang around in a family unit for at least a year, I think 2 years or something like that. And so you wouldn't think so from this cold-hearted beast, cold-hearted reptile. But if she is coming up, it's another sign to nurture yourself. Nurture that primitive reptilian part, that part that is so wild, that remembers the birth of the earth, that remembers the millions of years ago, and life and the evolution, holding all of that. She holds that knowledge and that wisdom in her very blood, in her cells. And so she can bring that wisdom to you as you walk through your day. And so, you know, the further we move on our spiritual paths, the tendency is the less logical sense things make, as far as like all of a sudden you start to realize the frivolity of a lot of the rules and the systems, etc., etc. And so without those structures that we were raised with, we can feel kind of lost. We can exchange one set of rules for another set of rules rather than relying on that inborn wisdom. And that's what Alligator comes along to root you into the earth, to root you into that deep, divine, feminine wisdom of the earth, to give you a better frame of reference to what's going on, so that you can trust your heart rather than the structures. You know, you have to live from the inside out, not the other way around. So that is number one. That is Alligator. Number two, if 2 was your number, you got Tatanka, Buffalo. Buffalo has been coming up quite a bit in readings lately. Buffalo is abundance. And when I say that, I'm not talking of the abundance of like a windfall, like all of a sudden, boom, inheritance or lottery or one of those things. That may well be, and then that pile or reservoir of resources becomes your source of abundance for hopefully many years. But what real abundance is being in the natural flow of energy of the universe. It's I just keep thinking, I keep getting flashes of Dances with Wolves, the movie. In fact, I've been meaning to watch that again. But when I first saw that movie, when it came out, I saw it in the theater, and it was like this huge aha moment for me, because in it there's this scene, it's the buffalo hunt. And you're watching how the tribe comes together. There was the Lakota people coming together to hunt the buffalo. And it was just, for the first time, it hit home how what the symbiotic relationship between animal and human, between different denizens of the earth, what that actually looks like. Because I came out of that not like, oh, the poor buffalo, oh, they're hunting them, oh, you know, cool, the Native Americans are getting their food, but these poor buffaloes are dying. And it was just, it for the first time, I got it. I saw the dance of life and death. How they work with the buffalo herd, and they take out mostly the weak and the sick, and they take just enough to feed them over the winter, to create, and buffalo provided food, shelter, clothing, tools. Everything they had came from the buffalo. So buffalo was an embodiment of Mother Earth, and that gracious giving. Um, but they didn't like kill entire herds to stockpile them so they would have enough meat and blah, blah, blah for years to come. So it's not like stockpiling money, then you're set. It's about being in that flow, knowing the buffalo is there to take care of you, and then you take care of the buffalo by cutting out the weaker or the elderly, etc., so that you're supporting the well-being and health of the buffalo, because the more healthy the buffalo are, the more healthy the tribe is going to be, right? And so it's a true symbiotic relationship. And so it's about knowing that there is enough, not that you have to stockpile it, because if you stockpile it, chances are it's coming from a mentality of scarcity, where I don't know when it's going to run out, so I have to stockpile as much as I can. That is fear, that is scarcity, that is not abundance. Abundance is being in the flow, knowing that when you need something, it will be there. Whether it's money, help, support, housing, whatever you need, knowing that that abundance is there for the asking. And just like the Lakota were nomadic, they would follow the buffalo because they could go lightly, because the buffalo was their lifeblood. And so they didn't have to carry a lot of things with them. And so because they didn't stockpile, belongings and money and everything else, they were in the flow of the earth and that natural flow, give and take. And so if this is your card for today, for this week, know that no matter what it looks like right now, everything you need is right there. That there may be a veil kind of keeping you from seeing the other side, to seeing what is actually available to you. And again, I've said this a number of times, by realizing that your source of well-being is not out there someplace, your well-being is not dependent upon other people, on other situations, that your true source of abundance is creative source. It's Great Spirit, Creator, Goddess, God. That is your source. And when you're connected and aligned with that source, that's how you break through that veil, knowing that, your money might come through a situation or through someone else, on the physical plane, but the true source of that is from Spirit. So when you know that you're connected, that you're safe, that you are divine in nature, the universe will deny you nothing. All you need to do is ask. Ask and know that it's already yours. That's why we that's the idea behind praying and gratitude. You thank the universe for your robust good health, for your vitality, for your abundant paycheck. Even if you don't see it, you thank the universe for it, knowing that it will happen. It's a show of faith, because again, you are the power in the center of your life. Remember, you're the common denominator, and your source is Spirit. And when you are connected to that, everything you need will fall into place. And once you start living from that place of gratitude, where you're looking for the miracles, looking for the surprises, looking for the synchronicities, you will be amazed. I mean, I've mentioned this a number of times to people just recently about, there's people that those synchronicities happen and it freaks people out. They're like, oh my God, how did that happen? That is too much of a coincidence. And that is just a fluke. It's like, I live my life. I depend on those synchronicities. I put it out there and I wait for the answer to come back in whatever form it comes back. I live synchronicity to synchronicity to synchronicity. That is the way I navigate through my life. It's not weird, it's the norm. And when you start to connect with your spirit, connect inward to God, Goddess, whatever you call source energy, knowing that that connection will bring you everything you need. And then you just get out of the way. Miracles are what happens when we get out of the way of the natural flow of nature. Miracles are the norm. Miracles are natural. The only reason we don't see it is because we've got these mental and emotional blinders that keep us from seeing them. So know that you are taken care of. Know that the universe, the divine, loves you unconditionally. You don't have to do anything to earn the abundance. You don't have to do anything to deserve it. You are worthy of it just by the fact that you are here. You are human. You are a spirit in human clothing. If you didn't deserve it, you wouldn't be here. So know that no matter how dire the circumstances, no matter how bad it looks, there is always a completely harmonious solution. That is one of my most used affirmations. There is always a completely harmonious solution. Only good can come of this. Whatever the circumstances, only good can come of this. And in that way, you open your mind to possibilities, to solutions, rather than the rabbit hole of logic and tunnel vision and trying to project what you think is supposed to happen and what it's supposed to look like. It's like that's where that whole idea of being grateful for what you have increases what will come to you. So know that you are taken care of. Know that the universe loves you beyond measure, unconditionally. You do not have to deserve love. You are love. And love is the abundance. Love is connection. Love is the flow. You know, even our money, we call it currency because it's meant to flow. It's a current, just like the river. It flows in and it flows out. And so stay in the flow. Know that you are part of divinity. Know that you are part of the divine plan. And that the universe wants you to succeed. You came here with a purpose. You came here for a reason. And the universe wants you to succeed. And so the universe is going to do everything it can to see that you get to where you came here, that you fulfill what you came here to complete. Does that make sense? So, again, it goes back to that quote that I'm always misquoting from Einstein about the greatest decision you'll ever make is whether you live in a friendly universe or a hostile one. When you trust that things are going to work out, you open your mind to the possibilities, you're living in a friendly universe, knowing that everything is connected, that there's only one source, there's only one energy. We're all part of that same web that I talked about. And so there is no evil source, there's no evil force trying to take you down. There is only love. That is the only power in the universe. We can talk about fear, but fear is not an equal force to love. It's not like two physical things hitting, pew, pew, pew. Fear is the absence of love. So it isn't a force banging heads. And in truth, fear is the misperception of the absence of love. Fear is the inability to see the love that is present. And even fear has its place. It has its purpose because it's through fear that we learn courage. You can't have courage without fear. Courage and like initiation, leveling up, all of those things require some level of fear, because it's the fear that is the seed of courage. And it is that fear that, if used correctly, can be the springboard into a greater realization, into a greater level of trust in the universe. So that was number 2. Number 3. 3 is deer. Oh dear, oh dear. Deer, I believe, came up last week as well. And deer is about compassion. Deer is about gentleness, walking softly on the earth. And as I say that, I was in I was in the woods one day with a friend. We were walking through the woods, and we came across, like, we were in the trees, and all of a sudden we were like surrounded. There were like 3 or 4 deer right in front of us. And we're like, oh my God. And they acknowledged us. They knew we were there, but they also knew we weren't a threat. So they just went about their business, walking. They kept kind of listening. And I'm like, oh my God, this is so beautiful. And they're so soft. They're gentle. They're not making any sound. Gentleness, walking softly upon the earth. And all of a sudden, another deer came bounding onto the scene. It's like thump, 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 like leaping, thump, 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 thump through the woods. I'm like, well, there goes that theory. But anyway, deer is about that softness, the compassion, particularly self-compassion. So if this is your card this week, try to take a look at yourself with those Bambi eyes, with those eyes of a child, the eyes of wonder, rather than, it goes back to what I was saying with Buffalo, with that open-minded, look at yourself open-mindedly with eyes of wonder. Okay, there is a story with deer. I believe I told it last week, in case you didn't see last week or you haven't heard the story. Once upon a time, there was this beautiful day. Great Spearmint was feeling joyful up on top of his mountain, and he invited all the woodland creatures to come and join him for a celebration. Well, at the base of the mountain lived a troll, and all the creatures were afraid of this troll, except for Deer. Deer was just so excited to go party with Great Spirit that she came just leaping and bounding to the base of the mountain, and the troll jumped out and roared at her and threatened her. And instead of running or fighting, she just looked at him, looked him in the eyes, and just kind of cocked her head, and with concern in her voice, she was like, "What's wrong? What did somebody do to you to make you so afraid? Why are you so angry?" And because Troll thrived on conflict, on resistance, and finding none of that in Deer, the Troll had nothing to live with and had nothing to survive on, and he faded away. And so through compassion, through, namaste, the divine in me greets the divine in you. By seeing this being in front of her, recognizing the divinity in that being, beyond the facade, beyond the anger, the emotions, the threats, everything else, knowing that there was this creature that was hurting inside, she was able to break through that shell and get to the heart of the matter. And so through compassion, rather than brute strength, it was Deer who was able to open the path for all the creatures, all the woodland creatures, to come up and celebrate with Great Spirit. How does that apply to you? So, last week, just to give you a personal story. Again, I was at the river doing ceremony, something I do a lot. But I was kind of in a funk, and I was having these things, these feelings rise up that I didn't like. They were kind of fearful and angry, and definitely not the kind of feelings I want to feel or that I want to send into the world. And so, you know, when we feel when those feelings come up, we have a tendency to resist them. It's like, no, I don't want to feel that. No, and we fight it. But just like the troll, if we fight those feelings, we only increase them. And so what I did was I sat with it. And I felt the feeling. And I looked at this feeling as, okay, this came from an earlier version of this, came from some experience in my past, some experience from a younger me. So why would I want to fight that? Because all it would do is reinforce that feeling in that younger part of me, and then I will never get through it. Does that make sense? And so I just sat with it. And instead of addressing the feeling or the emotion, especially as an enemy, I looked through the emotion and was like, okay, what's at the heart of you? What did somebody do? What happened to create this feeling in you? Like addressing my younger self where this had arisen. And it was really interesting because in my mind it appeared like this big dark, I don't know, shell or nut. And when I looked at it and was like, okay, what's in the center of this? What created this? It was like it just opened up. It was like this shell that just kind of opened up. And in the center, this sounds so cliched, was a pearl, which was my innocence, my younger innocence. And that dark shell had grown around that innocence, number one, to protect it, because it thought that's how it had to respond to the hostile world in order to protect itself, but it only made it heavier. And so rather than attacking that emotion, that inner demon, if you will, by looking at it, sitting with it, feeling it, allowing it to rise, and asking, like, okay, what is at the heart of this feeling? What is at the heart of this emotion? What happened to make me originally feel this? By doing that, I was able to uncover, to release the darkness, the tightness, the fear, and embrace that younger part of me that didn't know any better. And so by looking compassionately, you know, like I always talk about, rather than fighting your demons, invite them in for tea, sit with them. Because if you're not fighting them, they're going to lose their power. That is how they get their power. That's why they're there in the first place, is because you gave them power. And by just facing them, you recognize them for what they are, and they vanish, because they have no integrity in themselves. They're not true beings. They don't, what am I trying to say? They are not demons. They are not devils. They are not some evil force coming against you. It is something that grew up around you, something that you created as the infinite creator that you are in this life, to protect yourself. And now that you're outgrowing that, it's time to let those things go. You don't need that protection anymore. And a lot of people are like, fight those demons and stand up to that stuff and, you know, fight. Compassion is so much stronger. Love is so much more powerful. than fighting. And because when you fight, you're the creator of your reality and your experience. And so if you stand up to fight something, you're creating something solid, so you have something to fight against. By resisting it, you're actually creating that thing that you're fighting. So have compassion with yourself. When those feelings come up, you know, and in some cases, it may require counseling. It may require therapy. It might require, it's a process. It's not a one and done type thing. You might have to face this darkness over and over again. But each time you do, you are stronger and stronger, and they don't stick around as long. But do not be afraid to seek help, to seek counseling, to seek medication. These are all good things. They help us regain our footing, to be able to see the world more clearly, and to move forward in our lives. That is a way, actually, you take power back and you show compassion for yourself, because you realize that you are caught in that dark circle, whatever, and that you can't see beyond it, so you need someone from outside to be able to help you navigate your way out. Does that make sense? So the other thing is to remember that under all that darkness, this is who you are. You are innocent. You are pure of heart. No matter what you've done, no matter what has happened to you, no matter what anyone has done to you or anyone has told you who or what you are that innocent child within. And that is the source of all healing. It is by surrendering into that source, into that essence of you as the divine child, that the darkness can't stand against you. Does that make sense? Looking at things with those big Bambi eyes, you know? Looking at things with wonder, like, whoa, why does that happen? Oh, what is that? How does that work? Rather than coming at stuff with a fully formed hypothesis and fully formed armor and weaponry to take down that demon, whatever it is, because that demon is you. It's a younger part of you, a younger version of you that's crying out for love. So look at those dark places. When those dark emotions come up, look underneath that facade, underneath the surface, to that younger part of you that is afraid, that is crying out for love. If you resist it, if you fight it, you're only condemning yourself to longer in that personal prison, if that makes sense. Let compassion be your superpower. You know, I'm a cartoonist, and I don't do a lot of like superhero type comics, but I've always had in the back of my head this idea of doing a superhero who's kind of a non-superhero that just kind of walks through the world, and instead of fighting the bad guys or resolving all these problems, like by just showing up and radiating love and peace. I know this sounds really hippie and cliched, but just being the presence of love, how everything falls into place, like all the characters fall into place, things resolve on their own without anyone having to step in. In fact, I mentioned at the beginning of this video, if you came in later, that it's been a really frenetic, hectic few days. I've had to put out fires and hold space and heal tons of people at the same time. And I kept going to my guides saying, what do I do? What do I do? What do I do? What can I do to help? And my guides keep telling me, just be the presence of love. Just be the presence of light. Because by being that, stepping into that innocence, that divine innocence, essence of love and light, it might feel ephemeral or airy-fairy or whatever, but you're actually, how do I put it into words? Love and light are the true reality. And so you're bringing that true reality to a storm, right? You're being the eye of the storm. You're being the peace. And through your trust and surrender, connection to spirit, to source, you are bringing peace. You're introducing peace into a chaotic situation. And just like it's through entrainment, like you have a room full of clocks, eventually all those clocks are going to start tick-tocking together, you know, or if there's a number of women living in the same household, their moon time is going to sync up. And it's going to sync up to the strongest vibration. So by being in that vibration of love and compassion and light, without even doing anything, you change the situation. You introduce that light. And through entrainment, you're basically raising the vibration of that situation. And everyone in that situation and every part of that situation is going to rise to try to meet your vibration. And so by being the presence of love and light, you're awakening that in everybody involved. You're opening the door for that light and love to enter. And if they can't handle it, they might run for the hills, but whoever's left is going to feel that the miracle. You know, remember what I just said about miracles are what happen when you get out of the way for nature. Miracles are the norm. Miracles are the natural occurrences when we get out of the way. And so by being that presence of magic, of you know, surrendering into your essence, you create that all around you. It's like there's those old commercials for Dawn dishwashing soap, right? The liquid soap, and they had a sink full of grease, and they would put one drop of Dawn in there, and the grease just went. That's what you do when you bring love and peace to a situation. And that is what a spiritual warrior does. A spiritual warrior doesn't step in and fight the demons and fight and fight and fight, because it's a non-dual universe. There are no sides. We're all part of the same thing. And so what a spiritual warrior does is stands in the light, maintains connection to source. The only fight that is there is in staying the course, in rooting yourself, being present, not getting pulled out into the storm, but holding that eye of the storm, being the peace at the center of it. So that's a really long explanation for deer, but that is, compassion is so powerful. It may not be overnight, it might not be the second, but compassion changes the world. It's like water, right? Water is the softest and the strongest element in the world. Water is soft. You can jump into water and it receives you, it carries you, it holds you. And you can have water fights without hurting anybody, right? And yet water is one of the only things that can break stone, right? And so that's compassion. Be like the river. Continue to be the river, bringing compassion. When you just allow that love and that light to flow through you constantly, eventually it breaks down all obstacles, right? So anyway, that is our card reading for tonight. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope you enjoyed that. If you're new, welcome. If you are here as a regular, thank you so much for your consistent support of me and my work. Feel free to watch this again. Feel free to share this video. If there's anyone that you know that might get some guidance out of it, know that if you liked this, that you know, feel free to approach me for a personal reading. In a personal reading, you get 5 cards all to yourself, not this kind of New York Times horoscope generalization kind of thing, but you actually get the wisdom from the animals to know, like, personal guidance on exactly where you are. And I love doing that. I love empowering people. So if you have questions, if you're uncertain, you need help and guidance, please come to me, and I will be happy to be the medium through which the animals speak to you. And you can connect with me on my website, perchingwolfstudios.net, and you can see what other shamanic services I offer, different healings, etc. And what else? Oh, and if you are interested in shamanism, this coming Saturday, I'm actually teaching an Introduction to Shamanic Journey class. It's just for local people. It's my first in-person class in over a year. So Four Sisters Holistic Remedies, where my office is in Renton, Washington, just opened up a new classroom space. And I get to be the first one to teach there. Ha ha! So we are going to I'm going to teach Introduction to Shamanic Journey, which is it's the technique that shamans have used to connect with their spirit guides for over 100,000 years. Shamanism is the oldest known spiritual practice, and this is still powerful. It's lasted for over 100,000 years. And so if you're curious, if you're in the area, please check out my website to see how to sign up for that, or message me on my Facebook page or whatever to sign up for that. Space is limited because we are technically still in a pandemic, and so we want to make sure we maintain the social distancing and stuff. So class size is going to be limited, but please, if that interests you in any way, sign up. I do plan on doing a Zoom version soon for those who aren't local, because the more people who know how to do this work, the better off we all are. So I love teaching it. Check that out on my website. And if you enjoyed this, if you feel so moved, in the description and everything of this video, I have my PayPal. Feel free to throw me a couple dollars or whatever. I always lovingly accept donations, and I am so grateful for them. I am here to help you. I'm here to guide you. I'm here to empower you. That is my job. And so I am here to support you in whatever way I can as a shaman. And so I gratefully accept your support for me. So thank you so much. I will upload this video to my Facebook page, and also I will upload it to my YouTube channel, Perching Wolf Studios YouTube channel. So check that out. Subscribe. I am planning on doing more and more different videos besides these ones. And at some point, I'm planning on starting actually a podcast, a shamanism podcast. So keep watching my website, watch my Facebook page for all the information, all the updates, all the news and everything. Things are moving and grooving, and lots of exciting things coming up. So thank you again for watching me. Thank you again for supporting my work. It means a lot to me. This is one of the highlights of my week, and I so enjoy doing this. Thank you. I hope that was meaningful for you. I hope to see you next week, same time. And if you're interested, Wednesday nights I also do a Facebook Live video where I do a sacred pipe ceremony, where you can take part in this ancient pipe ceremony, where I hold space basically for far-flung people to connect energetically and to join our energy and our intentions and our prayers to send to Great Spirit for a better world, better humanity, and all that good stuff. So I think that is it for me. Thank you again for joining me. I hope to see you next week, if not Wednesday. And until I see you again, know that I love you, that I see you, that I honor you. So have a wonderful, wonderful week. Feel free to watch this again. Feel free to share it far and wide. And I will see you soon, okay? In the meantime, go shining. All right. Bye, everybody.